Young Justice Season 4 returned to our HBO Max screens this week with a brand new episode entitled Rescue and Search. I'm Cape Joel, and this is the video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, while also shouting out any comic book Easter eggs or references I can find. So with that out of the way, let's get to it. And so everyone, we enter the final arc of Young Justice Phantoms. This episode wastes no time getting started by dealing with the fallout of the previous climactic finale. Lord Zod had taken control of the Bio ship by taking Saturn Girl hostage. Bart Allen, remembering that he is a speedster, leaps into action and very cleverly tries to take Zod down with a power-dampening collar. Too bad Lord Zod is a Kryptonian and this kind of super speed trick won't work on him, but of course this isn't a Bart-centric story at all, it's a Dick Grayson story. Yes, that's right everyone, today is the day and you finally get your Nightwing fix right here, right now at the end, so maybe you can stop asking for it every 10 seconds. When we join Nightwing, it seems that he's taking some personal time to reconnect with his circus performer roots by once again adopting the name Dan Danger. You may remember the whole Danger family was a set of fake identities assumed by the Young Justice team so they could go undercover in Haley's circus. You really gotta love that Dick's whole trapeze performance is not only super cool to look at, but it also just so happens to have an outer space theme, which makes a ton of sense when you stop and consider that Dick's whole journey for the rest of the episode is going to be looking for something beyond worlds away. Dick is quickly recruited by Zatanna, who's been working the whole missing Superboy angle from her end for a while now. She hopes that Dick's super detective skills will finally give her the edge she needs to crack this case wide open. And also maybe on some level to alleviate the guilt that Zatanna might still be feeling given how her whole arc ended. At first, Dick isn't even sure if he should go digging, assuming that there's no way that Connor could still be alive somewhere out there, but after seeing the very same visions that Zatanna herself did of Superboy begging for help, he quickly changes his tune. And hey, while we're on the subject of Connor, how's he doing? In the last episode, Zod and Ursa discovered that Connor was never meant to be a prisoner in the Phantom Zone and that he has some sort of predisposition to be a hero, all things that are very strange to those in the House of Zod. Connor is still suffering from zone sickness, so his answers are disjointed to say the least. Eventually, though, Zod discovers through him that he's been in the Phantom Zone for 40 years and that Krypton was destroyed by their exploding sun. Zod also still harbors one hell of a grudge for the House of El and especially Jor-El for locking him away when all he wanted to do was try and save the planet. Though not from the exploding sun, mind you, something different. Again, I think they're trying to draw a very deliberate parallel here between Zod and Vandal Savage. What with the whole I'll do any bad thing I need to if it means saving the world. This back and forth between Connor and Zod also answers a very important question that I know many fans were wondering, and that is how exactly in the future when Zod escaped the Phantom Zone did he know about Kryptonians gaining power under Yellow Sun? And the answer is, well, Connor told him. It's also around this time too Phantom Girl finally comes to. She'd been playing possum since the end of the previous episode. And if Connor ever hopes to escape, it looks like these two are going to have to team up and join forces. Now back with Dick, it doesn't take him long to realize that Connor's disappearance is probably linked to Bart Allen's own vanishing act. This means Nightwing and Zatanna start down the path of trying to discover who the Legion of Superheroes are and why it seems that they've been hanging over them since the end of last season. All these clues eventually take them to Superman for help. Sadly, Clark has sworn to secrecy about anything involving the Legion and time travel. From a mystery standpoint, this is actually really smart writing because it means Dick has to track down and unpack all the different seemingly unrelated story threads from all the other arcs we've been watching all season. It's Artemis who lets them know that before Bart left on his mission, he took power-dampening collars and supplies that would imply he was going on not just a space mission, but a time travel mission too. And hey, who did they know who just came back from a big important space mission? Well, Rocket, of course. She saw what she thought was a bioship firing on the enemy, and she couldn't make any sense of it until right now, that is. Also, hey, two quick things that I absolutely love about this scene. One, little Amistad is wearing an Icon shirt, which I thought was very cute, and also, Dick not only dated Zatanna in the intervening years between seasons, but apparently he also dated Rocket too. Wow, this might be the most comic accurate thing in the whole episode. Dick Grayson loves to date around, and yet all of his exes are not only cool with him, but cool with each other too. Jeez, that's his real superpower. And hey, speaking of how great Nightwing is, he basically figures out the entire overarching plot of season 4 in about a few minutes, though his his friends can't quite perceive the way he does, though, and thinks that he's stretching things. Even though we as the viewer know he's pretty much 100% on the money about everything, and even the stuff he couldn't account for, like Lorzod having the Phantom Zone projector destroyed in the past, meaning that he may never be able to release his parents here in the present, only proves that history continues to change under the feet of all these different time-traveling heroes and villains. With few options left, Zatanna thinks that the best way to reach the Phantom Zone and save Connor is by summoning Klarion and forcing him to make good on his debt from the end of the Magic arc. This is cool for a number of reasons, the big one being Zatanna recruits most of the original Young Justice team to help out with the ritual, meaning the big finale of this episode sees most of the original team doing battle with one of their very first foes in the Tower of Fate, the same place they fought him all the way back in Season 1. I love it when things come full circle, don't you? Klarion is hard to deal with and chaotic, as always, choosing to fight rather than honor his deal. It is, however, a really solid showcase for how powerful this villain still is, whether or not he was embarrassed by Child during said Magic arc, and hey, we get a pretty fun action scene out of the whole thing too. While the heroes win the day and defeat Klarion, they're sadly nowhere closer to finding their friend Connor, but Zatanna does have one last trick up her sleeve. If Klarion won't take them to the Phantom Zone, then maybe they should find something they know has already been there, like the bus that kept hopping time and space. And so that was Rescue and Search, a fitting kickoff to this brand new Nightwing arc. I like how every arc this season has had its own unique feel and flavor, and this one is truly a detective story through and through, with Dick finding clues, interviewing witnesses, and trying to connect the dots. Hell, he even has his own string theory board, which according to Twitter is exactly how Greg Wiseman and Brandon Vietti sit down and write these seasons. It's for all those reasons and more I find it pretty fitting that this arc came last in the season. If the last 21 episodes have all been about dropping crumbs, then this arc is about Nightwing trying to put them all together and make sense of everything, as really only he can. Beyond that, it's nice to see so many of our fan favorite faces back again. We get some cool action scenes and the promise of oh so much more to come. Overall, I would call this a pretty damn good kickoff.